What I'm going to be doing definitely is doing 80% for those of you who want to grab the course, out of state investing course. And definitely I'm going to be giving away definitely some courses tonight. I'm going to be doing all that. But I'm going to jump right into it real quick for those of you that have some questions, sent in questions. But let me get into I'm trying to be delicate with a couple of these things I want to discuss with real estate right now, because I had a situation where there was other investors, out of state investors, and I think they kind of took things, not the wrong way, but I guess I'm going real hard to make sure you guys understand out of state investment markets. And there was just a couple of comments where I think people are they're trying to make you aware, but they want to, I guess they don't notice they're trying to instill fear in you, right? So the last Sunday I did, which was great for you who chimed in, definitely got a piece of that knowledge. And, I was harping on you guys about don't wait, don't fear hard money lending, don't worry about, don't worry, not say don't worry, but don't be so fearful about it. Don't be so consumed with about, well, if I get this money from the hard money lenders, what's going to happen? How is this going to take place? What's this? And the biggest thing that I was telling you guys is the person who should be fearful is the one lending you guys money. If a hard money lender is coming at you guys and going to give you $200,000 to do a deal, to get you a property, to become an investor, I think the person giving up the money should be worried. If I came to you and said, look, I need $20,000 and you wanted me to do some paperwork, you still should be fearful because you're the one giving out the money. Like Growth and Power One. What's up, family? You know what I mean? If you have all your ducks lined up in order how this deal is going to go, you should not be fearful with getting money. I was definitely going on last week about there's scenarios now where if you guys who don't have great credit scores, your credit score may be about 650. I was telling you guys with a 650, you still can get hard money loans. Don't be so consumed about, well, I can't get a bank loan. I can't get a bank loan. The objective is for you to become an investor. Let's remember that. That's the number one goal here, is to be an investor. Banks were made for you to become homeowners and not investors. Remember, I have about four loans with the bank, but all the other 18 properties are all hard money deals because banks going to cap you. Banks are not going to allow you to get a lot of loans. Banks are just not engineered and designed for that sole purpose. That's not what their services are for. And then people say, well, the banks, you can get a 1%, a 2% loan. You only get a 1% or 2% loan when that loan is for your primary residence. That's not for an investment property. Investment property rates are going to be around 4. Around 4. Hard money, you can get a 6. Now you're saying, okay, 6% is higher than a 4. Yeah, but that's a difference of maybe $30 or $60 depending on the loan. Don't let $30 or $60 stop you from getting a loan to get a property so you can start to become an investor. And also remember, we discussed this before. And I'm definitely going to go back in on the other comments that that came in where people were really trying to get you guys worried and scared. Like, you shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do that. Anyone who's trying to encourage you to become an investor and in the same breath are telling you what you shouldn't do, but they're not telling you the correct way to do it, not look into the motive, but try to figure it out. I'm not sitting here telling you, well, look, be an investor, get hard money loan, but you got to be scared because the hard money might rob you or take advantage of you. Many investors, use some type of funding besides bank. That's many investors, like a great percentage, let's say 80%. Bank lending is strictly designed for you to be a homeowner. If you're really trying to get these properties, don't say to yourself, well, what's the terms? Look at your terms, look at your fees, look at all that. But look at the bigger picture and the profits Look at you establishing these relationships. Look at you saying to yourself, I'm putting myself in a position to win. A position to win, becoming an investor. You know what I mean? So now let's talk about the insurance. Insurance. Cool. So there was a situation. Matter of fact, I'm going to say that topic because I'm waiting for a couple of more people to get in. I want this topic really to be heard. You know, wholesaling. The wholesale, I get my properties through wholesaling. Back before the social media was well put together, the wholesaling market. A wholesaler is someone who, when you see these notes on your house, when we want to buy your home, this and that, those are wholesalers. Wholesaler steps in to get the property for someone. The wholesaler steps in to a homeowner who wants to sell their house and now makes the connection between them to have a reasonable offer and for you to purchase that property at a reasonable price. Realtors are good, but remember, realtors come in and their job is to make as much on commission as they can possibly make. With that being said, a realtor can bloat the cost of a property. If someone wants to sell a property for $80,000, but the house next door sold for $120,000, remember the realtor's going to go in there and tell them, look, you can get $120,000. But they're not telling them the property next door that sold for $120,000 was fully renovated, and their property is not. It might take $40,000 on the 80 to make it worth $120,000, but now they're telling them they can get $120,000, and now the property's sitting there, or the person who wants to sell it is now in this delusional state and thinking they're going to get that, when actually you're not. You know, you're not. You have to consider the repairs or the cost to get it up to being worth $120,000. So now building these relationships are so crucial, you know, and in my course, which I really talk to you guys a lot about, I teach you guys building that relationship from A to Z, how I went through all the years of gathering this information so you guys could take that knowledge and now you can use it immediately. The relationships of using bigger pockets, how to find wholesalers, how to reach out to realtors with creating the off-market scenario. You can go to Realtor, Zillow, connect with realtors just by the listing on the home. You don't necessarily have to be interested in that home. But once you get connected with a realtor, you tell them exactly what your specifications are or what kind of property you're looking for. And now you become someone on their off-market list. But here's the key things you must always throw in when you're dealing with realtors or anyone with real estate, especially when you're trying to make that connection. You know, you don't really want to put yourself in a place where you sound like, when you sound like you're a newbie. You know, you want to tell them, look, I'm an out-of-state investor. I'm looking to get into your market. I'm looking to buy these type of properties. I'm looking for tenant occupied, or I'm looking for single families. I'm looking for two families. You know, try to have your specs locked down. So when you do speak to them, they're going to go, okay, this person knows what they want. You don't want to give them this gamut list of things that they're going to try to be searching for you to find. And now this list is so big, they know you don't know exactly what you're talking about. So always narrow your list down to them exactly what you're looking for. What's that price range? I'm looking for single families to duplexes in between 600 to 120,000. I'm looking for tenant occupied. I'm looking for properties on this side of town. I'm looking for properties that are 3 and 2, you know, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, or a 2-bedroom, 1-bath. You see what I mean? Once you start having that conversation with them, then they go, okay, I know what this person wants. Now, when they find that, they would rather be able to come straight to you and sell it directly to you, because now they don't have to do the rigmarole. They don't have to start with all the advertisement, all the tons of pictures, all, you know, once you create that relationship and get that off-market deal situation going with them, then you're going to be moving smoothly. And remember, the key here for me, which I've have a whole section based on mastering bigger pockets. I cannot continue to go on and on about how much bigger pockets evolved me from doing 5 digits worth of income coming in to 6 digits of income coming in. Like, it really evolved me. Like I mentioned, I've met my mentors there. I have one mentor that I've never actually met before because he was out of state, but he groomed me and gave me a lot of information. And remember, Bigger Pockets is that place where once you do make these connections with people, you want to take that relationship from online to offline. Online to offline. And when you get these relationships, you must really remember this right here, what I'm about to say, how important this is. Have yourself a recorder in your phone. Have yourself a voice recorder when you're speaking to anyone like me, an investor, or someone who's giving you information, or someone that you're paying for consultation. Because we're going to be hitting you with so many jewels and hitting you with so much information, you're not going to be able to write that down. You're really not. So you want to have a recorder in place. And this is something my mentor told me. It's like, listen, he would always talk and he would pause. And I know that pause was either for me to get ready to write or me to hit record. And then he let me know, like, look, I'm pausing to give you time to really take into consideration. I'm getting ready to hit you with something. Be prepared. You know, so have that recorder in your phone, guys. Let me see what info we got. We got some messages here. Questions. Like I said, anybody who have some questions, you can send them over. And definitely, I'm going to go live with you guys on a couple scenarios if I see the situation fits. All right. So have your voice recorder. And another thing, do not, be upset at yourself for your brain not doing something that it wasn't designed to do. Your brain was not designed to be a recording device, to continuously regurgitate memories. Our brain is a processor. It's a processor to process things, to compartmentalize. So don't be upset at yourself. You go, oh man, I just can't remember what they said. I just can't remember. See, don't put yourself in that position. Have that recorder. Put this information down. And like, for someone like me, I'm continuously just going and going and going. And I go on these tangents about so many different topics and so much information, so you must always be prepared for stuff like that. So for those of you that are in these high price markets, my goal is always to push you guys to become an investor, regardless if your score is 740. Regardless if your score is 640 or up to 700. If you don't have money, but you have good credit, guess what? You have money. I went on and mentioned to you guys before, there are scenarios now where lenders are allowing you to now get pre-approved. Hard money lenders are pre-approving. I had a young lady last week, 2 weeks ago that I worked with. She had a 670 credit score. She had $10,000 in cash, but she had 401k. So what they do is for every 20,000, you times that by 9, and that's how much money you will be allowed to get pre-approved for, which is a great, great thing. She was able to get $300,000 pre-approved, and now she's going shopping for properties. Well, let me back up. She bought a property already. She bought a duplex. So now that she bought the duplex for $108,000, she has another, you break that down from 300,000. She has that money left over. The great part about that is you don't have to continuously do the credit pulls, the bank statements. Once they give you that amount of money to pull from, now you just go shopping for properties. Get pre-approved. Now you just go shopping for properties. This is something a lot of them are doing now. So look into those avenues. And like I said before, I mentioned, if you're someone who has 10,000 or 20,000 in the bank and you don't have good credit, partner with somebody that has good, become a team. If you have money, somebody has good credit, partnering was the best. Like I mentioned before, once I went from partnering, I went from like 10 properties up to 24 partnering. You know what I mean? Why take all of your money to buy one property when you could take some of your money and buy several properties? If you can get a property for $100,000 property, 20% down, that's $20,000. But now what if you were to say, you know what, I want to partner with someone on this $100,000 property. You're splitting the down payment. So now that's $10,000 a piece. You have $10,000 to put towards another $100,000 property. And the bigger picture is always taxes with me. Taxes. The more properties you write off, the more that looks good on your taxes with how much deductions, especially when you have your own property management company. You have a property management company. Now, here's the scenario, how the property management company works for those of you that, that don't, haven't heard me go through this. When you have properties out of state, they're managed by a property management company. The property management company now is hired by your property management company. So whatever expenses, what bills they incur, those bills get written to you in the name of your property management company. And what do you do with those bills? You write all of those bills off. So the more properties you have, the more expenses you are now writing off. What, here's the thing. Would you take $100,000 and say, I'm going to buy this one property with $100,000 and write off the one property, or take the $100,000 and get yourself 5 properties because you partnered with somebody? And now on your taxes, your property management company, you're writing off 5 expenses. You're writing off any repairs, anything that has to do with that. You're depreciating 5 properties at a time instead of that one. Taxes are a form of cash flow when you understand them. When you understand how the taxes work, I always say, I don't pay taxes. Taxes pay me. Ever since I've been investing, I've always did great in taxes once I understood how this taxes work. Once I understood how the taxes work, that was it for me. I was gone. I was definitely in the win. And I was doing 10,000, 15,000 back in taxes because it's all legitimate. If your property management company are writing you expenses and bills in your name, there's a limit to what you can write off. But if these bills are in your property management company's name, now that's another scenario. That's a bigger write-off. You know what I mean? So no portfolio is good. What I wanted to do is go with you guys with some early mistakes I made. Some early mistakes that I've made when I first got into investing was not being able to let go of a property manager soon enough letting them go at a soon enough time. You know what I mean? Because I was in learning mode and I knew, but I was kind of a little panicked. Do you have a particular tax strategy you can refer? Yes, definitely have a tax strategy. Let me address your tax question. Then I'm going to go back into my mistakes. Tax strategy. A tax strategy, remember these strategies are all based on having your property management company. Excuse me. I want to keep doing my LL licking my lips every 5 minutes. So the tax strategy is have a property management company. All your expenses go through there. And as a property management company, it's never in your name. Here's 2 scenarios, and I want to give y'all specifics because, see, everything I'm breaking down is in the course, so I want to kind of give you guys a rundown of everything in that course. So here's how it goes. If you have an investment property, your property management company is in an LLC. That LLC should not be owned by you. You bought a property in Atlanta, for example. The property is 123 Smith Street, so that's in Georgia. You have a Georgia LLC. The owner of that LLC should not be you. The owner of that LLC should be another LLC that's in a state that provides anonymity. Meaning, when they look to see who owns the LLC in Georgia, they will see a Wyoming, a Delaware, or Nevada LLC. Because that LLC in those states hides your identity. So that's very important to have an LLC that's owned by another LLC in one of those states, so no one will ever know who owns that property specifically. That's for that scenario. Now, when you have a property management company, your property management company should be based in the state that you're living in when doing your taxes. That's the scenario with your property management company LLC. You're going to be doing taxes. You're going to be having funds coming in. You're going to be having funds coming out. So that's in your state. So I had that question come in on the difference between having the LLC and the property, and who owns that LLC, and who owns the LLC for your property management company. So now, getting more into the tax strategy. I should have bought me something out here to drink. Going more into the tax strategy. The key is also, remember, depreciation and having your home office. When you have an LLC, your home office, you're writing off anywhere between 20 to 22% of your rent and your mortgage. What that means for the year, if you add up your mortgage and you add up your rent for the year, 20% of that you're going to be able to write off. Your cell phone, your lights, your heating expense, What else? Your internet. You're going to be able to write all of these things off just by having an LLC. This is why it's so important. Even if you don't even have a business functioning or making money, you should have your LLC, because you're missing out on writing off all these losses until you start making money. People, they say, oh, I don't want to waste money to create an LLC. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. There's no such thing as wasting money to create an LLC. You have an LLC that's taking a loss until you grow. You're writing off all the losses, all the postage in case all the things I've mentioned. Oh, and another thing, you're writing off driving, your mileage. There's an app called Everlance. Everlance is an app that when you're driving, it asks you a specific question. Is this business or personal? So now you're tracking your mileage and you're able to give this information to your accountant. The biggest problem with tracking, writing off your car expense, because you need to keep track of your mileage. Well, here's an app. Everlance is the app. So me, myself, I do tons of driving back and forth. Just imagine when you have to drive to Home Depot, you driving to, let's say, post office. Let's say you're driving to the location. Let's say you're driving to the airport. Let's say you're writing off all of that expense. So remember, I just gave you a litany of things. I gave you your mortgage. I gave you mortgage, lights, gas, internet, cell phone, mileage. And how much does it cost to create an LLC? $250 the most? The most, $250. So inside, specifically in my course, I show you guys how to set up your LLC properly. I show you how to pay yourself in your LLC. And let me have that discussion with you. Paying yourself in an LLC. Let's talk about that. When you have a property management company, you have rents coming in. Now, let's say you have an investment property. I'm going to stick to Georgia. You have an investment property in Georgia, and the LLC, that property is in your LLC in Georgia. And that LLC, remember, is always owned by an amenity state LLC. Always keep that in mind. Any LLC is an investment property, is owned by another LLC. It's not owned by you. Keep that. Now, let's go back to how you pay yourself properly. You're getting rent from the property in Georgia. You do not open a bank account for that LLC that house is in. Your investment property is in an LLC. You do not open a bank account for that LLC. It's just to hold your investment property. Your property management company, which would be a separate entity, separate LLC from you, that's where the rent's going to go. Investment property, property management company. Your property management company is collecting the rent. As he's collecting the rent, it's your property management company, but you do not treat this as a personal account. What up, Aim? You do not treat this as a personal account. What you do, if you want to take money from here, you write yourself a check. Write yourself a check to yourself. That's how you conduct business. You never want to intermingle your personal and your business. Why? Because let's say, for example, if you ever audited, if they see you start treating it like your personal account, you just gave them carte blanche to say, you know what? He's doing it, so we're going to do it. Now they're going to look into your personal. So we never want to do that. Pay yourself with a check from your property management company. And that can be an owner disbursement. That can be an owner draw, everything from there. So these are things that I also show you guys. And opening up the LLC, I recommend you use a company where they provide all the services. For example, I'm gonna stick to Georgia. If you want to have LLC in Georgia, just Google registered agent. As you Google registered agent, you're going to see companies that pop up, and those companies will be able to open up you an LLC the correct way without you making an error. They might charge you, like I said, $200 the most, but think about it, it's $200 to not get it wrong. $200 to not get it wrong and have to do it over. So the tax part, when you get your EIN number, you can do that yourself. You don't need them to do that. That's a simple process. Go on, put in your information. When it asks you in taxes, what do? You go down to real estate, rent properties, which is property management. Boom. You get your EIN number 123. You don't have to pay no one for that. All right. So let me, remember, if I start going too fast and you guys got some questions, just shoot them right in there. I got a couple topics that I want to throw into where some people sent me some good questions. Okay, here's another one that popped up on the radar. Another one that popped up on the radar was people would always, not always, but the suggestion was, quick question. I'm going to catch our questions, but try to use the question asterisk there because I don't want to lose you in the scroll. Quick question. I have the potential cash, but can I possibly still get a loan if I don't have a job at the moment? Yeah, you could. If you have, you can definitely get a hard money loan. A hard money loan isn't dictated on your W-2. With a bank, that's an issue. But remember, investors, we use hard money loans. We use other people's money, private lenders. So definitely what you do is all they want to know is that your money has been seasoned in the bank for at least 2 months. If you have money in the bank for 2 months, and a lot of them will consider 401ks, but the minimum is about $20,000 in the bank. All right. So Denzel, definitely that's the way it goes. You can definitely get you pre-approved. Like I mentioned 2 weeks ago, I took care of a young lady. She had $10,000 in cash, 401k. They accumulated to 2, gave her $300,000. She bought her duplex. Now she's in the investment world. So if you have money to go, yeah, definitely. I hope I answered your question. Every own pockets up front, you know. And remember, here's another thing I want to share with you guys. And Denzel, here's something to throw into that. If you have good credit, so you know you have someone in your circle, whether relationship, a spouse, and they have money in the bank, $20,000, $10,000 in the bank, have them add you to their bank account. You know why? Because 2 months from now, your name, you can pull statements from that bank account and that money will look like yours. People that I'm partnering with, and I'm working this thing out myself internally with family members and close people, they have great credit, but they don't have any money in their bank. So you know what I did? Open up a separate bank account, put money in there, and now these people are on this bank account as a joint bank account. Of course, they don't have credit cards, they don't have nothing, ATMs or debit cards to the account. But guess what I'm doing? I'm setting this up because 2 months from now, all that good credit, when it's time for us to go get mortgages for them, you know, low rates or whatever, because you can never go wrong with getting them extra lower rates for the 2 or 3 points, but don't let it stop you from becoming an investor. And also, banks allow you to go down to 60,000. Like properties at 60,000, I call that low-hanging fruits, but hard money only does 75,000, right? So now I'm adding these people, well, these family members onto this bank account. So 2 months from now, when we're ready to go get some mortgages, they got jobs, they got good credit, they do taxes, and they say, okay, we need bank statements. Oh, you need bank statements. That's when they're going to pull statements from that bank account that everybody's a joint user on. See what I mean? This was also in one of my videos where I was telling, you know, suggestion to you guys, if you got family members, kids in your house, young teenagers, put them on your bank statements. Put them on your credit cards. For those of you that, you know, that don't know, if you have a great credit score, once you add someone as an authorized user and to your credit account, your credit card, your credit score becomes their credit score. So think about using all those tools there. You know, so Denzel, that was one. I hope I got that through. So the LLC and amenity state, you're 100% right. Growth and power. The LLC and the amenity state shouldn't receive any funds. That just holds the property. The rent and expenses go to, yes, the rent and expenses go to your property management company. I like that. You got it. The rent goes to your property management company. That's where all the transactions being done. You know why? Because it's 2 different situations. You're separating yourself again. Remember, you're putting that buffer. So if the LLC, anything can always be sued. So if your LLC is sued in Georgia, they sue that LLC, they can't freeze any money because you don't have a bank account or any money in that bank. You know, but if you did open up a bank account and did have money connected to that LLC to the house, it's frozen. So now you created that buffer. You got that property management company, separate bank account. You know what I mean? We always want to protect our money, protect our best interests. All right. So I see I got some questions in here. I own a home in Florida, 20 years old. So I have a property management company. Who collects? You have a property management company that's collecting the rent for you. right? That's true. But now you need your own property management company that they're doing the W-9s for, that they're giving you the 1099s. You don't want that to be in your personal name, which it could be. But I'm showing you guys how to maximize your taxes by you creating a property management company. Comfy Party Place, I hope I'm saying that right. You have a property management company taking care of the Florida property, yes. But now you need to create a property management company to maximize the benefits of what they're doing. All right, so definitely that's a tax situation. Denzel, you know how I go, family. We here all day. Son, Square Biz, you did it for your son with the credit. Definitely. Got my money too ready to invest on a straight. Trying to get this course down pat. That's right. All right, so you mean, okay, so you're doing the course. That's beautiful. You know what I mean? I'm getting great responses for the course. I released the course no less than a month, about a month ago now, and the response is incredible. You know, we have well up in 100 people doing the course, and feedback is great. Even before I was doing the course and I was teaching for free until I mastered it, everybody, if you check my timeline, they bought properties. So do you open business accounts for both holding companies and a management company? Do you open business accounts for both holding companies, business or bank accounts? Bank accounts. You don't open up. Let me know if you mean bank accounts. Call if you open. Oh yeah, if you are. No, you don't open up any bank accounts for the holding companies at all. Just the management. All right. Remember the buffer. Definitely buffer there. At what age can you put your teenager on? You can put your child on your credit card immediately. But I was just suggesting doing it at a age where they have a job. Let me see. Minchi told you I got some creative names, family. So you can add your child on there immediately. You can add them on your credit card and start rocking their credit and get it up quick. You know what I mean? Don't delay with that process. You know, once their credit is at the point where they can make maneuvers and they get a job and everything else and their credit is looking good, get them an FHA loan. Get that child that's in your house, that young adult, get them their own place. Get them a duplex. Remember, with the FHA, you don't have to get a single family unit. People think that. You don't have to get a single family unit. You could get a duplex, triplex. You could get a quad. FHAs all day, you can do that. You know, when filing taxes, should you merge the personal business or keep it separate? This is for a non-property management LLC. Well, it depends on how it's formed. Hey, Lipstick and Hills, what's going on? It depends on how it's formed. Meaning, S Corp, C Corp, if you have it set up in certain tax brackets, certain ways, it's a flow through. So it'll flow through your personal, and then some will flow separate. It depends on if it's an S or C Corp. All right. It depends on how you set that up. So speak to your accountant about that so you can know what's the best scenario that fits you. I'm going to give you guys all the techniques. Like I have S Corps for my scenarios. You know what I mean? But some of you might not need that. You might just need a simple flow through taxes, something not so big. All right. So no need to start with those extra expenditures. If you really don't need to get that, caught up into all those extra expenditures with your taxes, you can have a simple flow through. All right. So just speak to your tax accountant about that. Definitely. All right. So remember the tax questions. I love those. I'm always trying to get y'all that extra money with those taxes. Question here. Can you cash a refi through hard money lenders? Boom. Can you cash out through hard money lender? Would that be a smart move? Yeah, you could do a cash out refi with a hard money lender. You know, you cash out refining an investment property or you can't do primary residence. So if you're cashing out your investment property, definitely. But remember the objective here. So my goal is always with investment properties of 5 years. I'm in a property 5 years. There's no reason for me, and think about this if it fits you, to have a property for 10, 20, 30 years. Like just add 10, 20, 30 years onto your age and an investment property. I don't want an investment property for 10 years. I don't want it for more than 5 because things break down. I'm into the property to make the cash flow. You know, remember, when I go to find these properties tenant occupied, I send my inspector who inspects the property, and I send my property manager who inspects the family that's living there. I want instant cash flow. I want to know my money is coming in. So if year 5, I'm gone. I'm definitely out of that property. I don't want no repairs. I don't want to deal with nothing at all. If a repair happens, let it be a small repair when I first got in the property, but proper inspections. So do the cash out refi, but now what are you going to, you're going to cash out refi for what? 5-year, 10-year, 30-year. Think about the length of the mortgage and what rates work for you. You can do a 10-year, 7-year on the property, but do you need a 30-year? What's the benefits? What's the benefits of buying down rates? And what's the benefits? Here's another thing what I wanted to get into. You know, a lot of people suggest start paying down your property, your investment property. Pay an extra mortgage payment, pay it down, pay it down. I'm not paying down my investment properties. Why? Just for the reason I stated, because I'm only there for 5 years. Why am I rushing to pay down an investment property mortgage? The same money, let's say my mortgage payments are $700. So if I'm making a additional mortgage payment every other month, how's that helping my cash flow? How's that helping me? I'm going to sell the property in 5 years. If I'm doing $700 additional mortgage payment, that's $700 that could be going towards a down payment to get another property. This is a business, and the mind state must be that of a business person. You know, you want to think about it as, why am I putting all this extra money into something that I'm not going to keep? You know, I'm going to take, okay, if the minimum to put down is 20,000, and then you say, well, I want to put down 30. I mean, if the minimum amount is 20% to put down, and then someone suggests, well, put down 30%. I'll put down, just put down 30%. Or put down 40%. Why would you put down 40% on an investment property when you can put down the minimum 20% on that investment property, a minimum of 20%, and take that other 20%, and now you can take that and that other 20% and get another investment property. It's just that simple. Don't put down this bulk of money on an investment property. Think about your cash flow and how much cash flow you're making. That's the important thing. You want to line up as many investment properties as possible. The reason being, because it looks good back on your taxes. You're writing all those properties back off. You see what I'm saying? You're writing those properties back off. That's the key. Taxes, more properties. You know, there's a big difference when I went to writing 5 properties off, 8 properties off, 15 properties off, 8 properties off, 24 properties off. You know what I mean? Like, the taxes are insane. So I'm just giving y'all these quick hits to help you get a gist of what's going on. You know what I mean? So all these things are in the course. In the course. For those of you that last week had joined and signed up for the course, incredible. Y'all know, everyone who's taken the course, you know I'm here. Send me questions. I check that homework religiously. Send me your assignments. You guys got to be on point. I'm not going to just let you slide and pass through without making sure you know your numbers, your return on investments, your rental calculator. All of these things are courses and things that I need you guys to master, because you succeeding helps everyone else succeed around you. You know, you succeeding is crucial, very, very crucial. And the generational wealth, I just want to tap on that real quick. The generational wealth conversation is a great one to have, right? But we must look at the concept of generational wealth. Generational wealth isn't just buying properties and making money and leaving money for your children. It's not generational wealth. You can become rich, $1 million, $2 million, leave that to your children, and guess what? It's gone. Wealth is usually destroyed in the second generation. Generational wealth conversations need to be more in depth, need to be understood, need to be broken down. For those of you who have seen my video where I took the generational wealth breakdown and I showed you how it was done using the Rockefeller family's living trust, his trust from 1934 on my snow day. That's how I spent my day. I went through his trust. How did he create that trust where up to this day, 11 generations are still living wealthy off that trust? So what I did was I broke it down and made it simple for us. How you can have a $500,000 life insurance policy and hand that wealth down. A quick scenario, how it's done. You have $500,000 life insurance. You don't leave it all to your children. What you do is you leave the policy to the trust. Your trust is the benefactor of the policy. Now the trust give your children half of what's in that trust. Let's say it's the $500,000. Your children get $250,000 of that money. That's their wealth. Now the other $250,000 gets invested into a fund. Let's say the SP 500. The SP 5 makes 5 or 6% every year, right? Every year, compound interest. I must remember to throw that in there. Your children, they have kids. When do you give your grandchildren their money? You give them their money when they turn 18. So now you have 18 years that 250,000 will have compound interest of 5% from $250,000. When they turn 18, now your grandkids, each one will get 10% of what's in that trust. So by that time, 250 should equate to around 800,000. So each one gets 80,000. And then what happens to the rest? That stays invested again until your grandkids have children and their kids get money in 18 years. Compound interest again for another 8 to 20 years. That's how Rockefeller did it. 1934. And to this day, they still enjoying the wealth. All we have to do is just do the paperwork, but I'm not, let me step away from the generational wealth and stick to the real estate. I'm gonna stick to the real estate talk, all right? But generational wealth, we can do it all day. We just have to put the paperwork. So here's some questions that were sent to me. But let me make sure I'm not missing you guys' questions. If you would have investment stocks and millionaire. Okay. So let me go into a few of the mistakes I've made that I want to definitely get you guys to definitely stay away from those mistakes. When you have properties out of state, if you have, not if, I like to take if, buts, and maybes out the equation. When you get your property out of state and you have a property management company, you must be willing to part with anything that's not working in your best interest. When I first got started, there wasn't a lot of information, a lot of things available. So my biggest fear was I didn't want to let go of a property management company that was kind of not servicing me correctly. I was getting my rent, but I felt like they're not doing things I need them to do the right way. Paying that attention. I have questions. I need things to be done. You know what I mean? So what it did was actually it started to hurt me because what I did was I focused so much on being accommodating to them that I didn't focus on how to get rid of them. See what I mean? So you have to focus on fixing the problem and not becoming complacent. If I would have said to myself immediately, you know what? They're not working in my best interest. Let me solve this problem. But instead, I was focused on how to cuddle them, how to play up to them so I can continuously get my rent. So now, but you guys don't have to go through that, right? So now here's the scenario. In any situation with property management companies in any state, there's a whole section in the course telling you guys how to develop the relationships, pick the property management companies, how to vet them. For example, you go to Bigger Pockets, you have the conversation. What property manager companies in what state? For just to give you guys who new following me here, the states that I'm currently invested in. I'm in Indianapolis. I'm in Indianapolis, Indiana. I'm in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I'm in several parts of Georgia. I'm in Birmingham, Alabama. Right now, me and my team, we're doing deals in Memphis. Memphis is where we're pushing hard, which is becoming very hot, Memphis. And I'm also looking in Louisiana and also Arkansas. Out-of-state investing doesn't mean one state investing. I'm covering everything where it makes sense. You know what I mean? So that's the whole thing, the gamut of it. So with property management companies, there's always places to have that conversation, right? So here's another question. Another thing, when you when I had the discussion of somebody says, oh, if you would have bought Microsoft or Google 20 years ago, if you would have took $1,000 20 years ago, you would have this much money. Or if you would have invested in this real estate area 20 years ago, you would have that much money. That's fruitless conversation. My thing is, did you do it? Like, if you didn't do it, why are we having this discussion? Let's talk about how we could get money now. I don't want to have that conversation about 10, 20 years ago about something that we could have, should have done. That's not solving anything now. I like to have that productive conversation. I like to hear people have that productive conversation with you and with me, because we need to focus on what we're doing now at this immediate moment. Let's make some deals. All right, send me a message. You in Birmingham? Let's talk. Try to have that conversation that's fruitful about the moment now. You know what I mean? Like, don't get stuck in that what you should have done, because you're alive and you're breathing now. My thing is, I'm really pushing you guys in the direction of seeing how money is accessible, how loans is accessible, how 300,000 in pre-approved money is accessible, based on a young lady who I showed you guys. She got pre-approved. She bought a property. Like, I'm giving you guys all the incentives. If you don't have good credit, how do you get credit? If you know someone at good credit, partner them, get on their credit card. Like, all these scenarios that I'm pointing out to you guys are things to push you in the direction of learning. Like, I see several of you guys on here who are definitely taking a course. You sending your homework. I'm doing the 80% giveaway for the course, because for those of you tuning in now, you know, I'm interrupting your Valentine's Day. You know what I mean? So use the code VDayLive to get that course to 80% off. And for those of you that are on here now, and you guys were on the live last week and you have the course, send me a message. We'll work something out. You know what I mean? My goal is to make sure everyone benefits off this. All right. So the mistakes also that I've made. Oh, man. One thing I could say about, I really avoid a lot of mistakes because I listen to my mentors. Mentor comes before money. You can't get to the money unless you get your mentor. Like, I really listen to my mentors when they tell me, don't do this, don't do that. Like, listen, because they've learned. Like, why would you not heed the advice? And don't think about, you know, we're built in this place of trying to do things on our own. We really need to get in a comfortable space of learning to work with others. You know what I mean? So let me get out of that. Now I'm having another discussion with certain states and things I don't touch when investing. I had an investor friend of mine who buys properties in states with septic tanks. I stay away from septic tanks, and I buy properties that are connected to the city's sewer system. Septic tanks could be a very big issue, you know, and when you're dealing with the five-year structure of buying investment properties, anywhere between then and 5 years, you might have a problem with that septic tank. People who are tenants, they do not respect, no matter how much you put in the lease, don't flush diapers, don't flush wet wipes, they're going to flush it. So your septic tank, like, these are things as an out-of-state investor, just think about those things. Think about what charges could incur. Remember, I don't buy properties where I'm responsible for paying water. That's an unnecessary bill that I like to avoid, because tenants do not pay attention if the toilet is running, if that flap is loose. One of my properties in Milwaukee, there was the flap and the water just was flowing. So when the water bill came, it was $3,000. That was a problem. That's messing with my cash flow. So we do not like to run into those scenarios. So what I did was, okay, let me do the math here. The math, for me, is a simple equation that if a duplex is all I have to pay is the mortgage and the insurance, and my duplex is positive cash flowing, like $1,200 a month, $1,000 a month, or I have a fourplex where I'm paying the water and I'm cash flowing, let's say $2,000 a month, but then that water bill comes every quarter for $500. See what I mean? So that $500 is now $2,000 for the year. So now I have to minus that from my cash flow. I might be making more money, but I'm actually losing money. And then I'm jeopardizing that kind of water bill. So think about it when people say, you know, oh man, you got to get these bigger units, these fourplexes. Well, think about what weighs one against the other. You really want the minimum amount of cost to maximize your gain. Single families, duplexes, triplexes, 4 units are good if you're not responsible for any water or anything else. That's definitely the position to be in. Sorry if I'm just breezing through. I said, you guys got any questions, definitely shoot them in there and let me know. I'm going to be just shooting through some stuff. So now, insurance on properties. There was a scenario where I had a fire at one of my units. And I'm bringing this up because there's another investor, good dude, have fire scenarios, right? And I had a fire at one of my properties. So remember, my property is all out of state. If you have a property that has, for example, the property you bought it for, I buy properties in my sweet spots from anywhere. I can get a property from 50 to 160 to 200,000. It depends. But if you have a property that you bought for $60,000, necessarily, you don't have to have insurance for rebuild. You can have a buyout in your insurance where insurance company pays you out the value of the home, because the cost to rebuild might not be worth the value of the rebuild. So there's different scenarios with insurance with how things go. DJ, you know what I mean? What do I think about Airbnbs? I think Airbnbs are great depending on what state you're in. You can make a killing with Airbnbs, definitely, depending on the state. So check the climate and go to Airbnb, see the frequency, talk to other Airbnb people. You can do that on biggerpockets.com and see how the climate is for Airbnbs. If they're generating that money, go for it. Get it all day. Me personally, I'm not an Airbnb guy. Like, I'm just not, you know, because that's a different kind of mechanism. You're managing the property. I don't manage properties. I don't see them. I've seen 2 of my property. I had 24 properties max at one time. Now I'm at 15 because I sold a bunch right before COVID because I was moving into bigger units and moving into other states. So now I'm back to buying more properties again to fill in that gap because we want that cash flow. But I don't want any work to do. I don't want to have to, does it take longer to sell tenant occupied homes after 5 years? I'm answering that question. I don't want any work to do. I don't want to see the properties. I don't want to deal with tenants, because key thing I ask people when I first started my classes were, what do you want to be? An investor or a landlord? Because one will impact the other. Me being a landlord, when I was a landlord, really impacted my investing. But once I let go of those duties and delegated that, my investments went through through the roof, because I had time to strategize, plan properly, to look into things like, oh, okay, this works this way. It doesn't take any longer to sell tenant occupied properties after 5 years. If you have a cash flowing property, other investors want that. They want cash flowing properties. So you can definitely move a unit that has a tenant in there playing money. And remember, most of my units are Section 8. Section 8 units are my sweet spot. Before COVID, I was buying tons just Section 8 throughout the United States, you know, and that was a real good market. It wasn't 2 people messing with it. Some people felt like, oh, I don't want Section 8. I said, fine, cool, I'm good with that. But now Section 8 hit. The Section 8s I used to get for 60, 70, 80,000, 80, 90, 100,000. Prices are going up because investors want those in their portfolio. Now their portfolio needs a cushion. The cushion is becoming guaranteed rent from the government. So I have that cushion. I've always had that cushion. I want that. So I'm good with Section 8 properties. I don't want any rundown or dilapidated properties that are Section 8. You know why? Because that's going to lead to an expense. That's going to lead to an expensive repair. Where do you get 50, 60,000 properties that do not need rehab? Man, you could get that Alabama. You could get that in Memphis. $50,000, $60,000 properties that don't need rehab. I get a list of those all day. Tenant occupied all day that don't need rehab. When you buy property, here's the thing about tenant occupied properties, and especially Section 8. You know that someone's living there. It's habitable. If you buy a property out of state, you need to do repairs. You're trusting someone with that construction budget, right? Construction budget, right? So like my guy, MG, the mortgage guy, like he is great. He goes con, that word con in front, contractor. You know what I mean? So you got to be careful messing with them, because you're not there to see the work being done on your property, but you gave them 20,000 or 10,000 of rehab. So now you got a mortgage payment due. But if you have a property that's tenant occupied, you know it's habitable, you're walking into cash flow. So just because we're in big markets that properties cost a lot, so we kind of think that every market is kind of high to get expensive properties. Nah, there are tons of places where you get those kind of properties at great rates. You know what I mean? And they're cash flowing. And think about this. There are markets like Delaware and Baltimore now, and Detroit. These are always investment property states. But now these places are growing at an alarming rate because people here are running out of New York. So you have that market of people that are leaving, you know, New York, leaving Brooklyn, Queens, and saying, I don't want to go up to the Bronx. I don't want to go here. I don't want to, you know, go to these places. So they're going to Philly. They're going to Delaware. They're going to Maryland. So now that they're going to these places value are going up. And here's a trick. Here's what I mean by value. I mean rent value. Like in Detroit rent is going up, but the property values are not going up. See what I'm saying? So there's a lot of states where this is happening, where the rent value is going up, the rent is going up, but the property value is not going up. All right. Does that mean the property has no value? No, it doesn't mean that. It just means there's not the infrastructure in place to make those properties worthwhile. Like if they would start putting in Starbucks and things of that nature, then the property value would go up. But for now, those are desired areas as far as rent. So you can have, I would definitely encourage people, if you want to look at Detroit, places like that. But remember, for me, I'm leaving cold places. I don't want to rent in cold areas no more because the HVACs and things of that nature is going nuts. That's just putting a lot of wear and tear. How do you find these Section 8s and tenant occupied properties? Big Hunt. So what's going on, family? Well, how do we find these properties? Well, what you would do is, there's a whole section I teach how to do this. So I'm going to try to sum it up. But all this is inside the course. Definitely for you guys to master it, because only so much I can get out. But work with me. This is what I mean. If you're recording me, you can play it back. So it's going to be available. What I would do is What I would do is I teach you guys to go into places like Realtor and Realtor.com, right? You would do searches. Do searches for tenant-occupied properties. And when you do tenant-occupied properties, what you're going to have to do is now weed through those properties to look at the description and see if it says tenant-occupied. See if it says Section 8 or long-term tenant. These two key words are words you want to look for. And also another place where you guys can find properties where I bought several properties from is Craigslist. Craigslist has tons of deals because these are people in these smaller states who do not want to deal with realtors, who don't want to split the cost, who don't want to split the expense of them selling their homes. Craigslist. Also, Facebook Marketplace. There are tons of great rooms where wholesalers hang out and they bring deals into this market. They are bringing deals constantly for guys to get properties at a good rate. So definitely think about that. You know what I mean? So, I hope answer that question. And Craigslist, you could do those searches. Section 8. Also, if you work with wholesalers, be specific. Find realtors to be specific. Like remember that the concept of what I'm giving you guys works well for me. It's instant cash flow. It's a money maker, and it's a low-hanging fruit, and it's accessible for the market for you guys to get it. I'm not deterring nobody from wanting to be in markets that are large if you can afford it. But most people can't afford to buy a $200,000 or $300,000 home. They don't have 20% down. They don't have great credit. You know what I mean? So if that's for you and you can do that, blessings, get it done. But I want to speak to everyone who are not in that position, who's not in that position, who's going, how do I get it done? How do I make it work with my 10,000? How do I make it work with my 650 credit score? Or how do I partner with someone? This is the people I'm speaking to. I don't want to speak above the 80% that's trying to do something. I don't want you to get deterred, because we can watch videos of people showing toys and things all day about what they accomplished and what they got from buying $700,000 property or buying a property at $200,000 and 1.2. But if you don't know how to get the money to get to it, but if you don't know how to get the credit score to get to it, where's the justice being served in that? You know what I mean? And this is nothing where nobody's doing this intentionally, probably. You know what I mean? So I suggest asking the question. Reach out to these people. One thing that we must always take into consideration is always ask the right question, and the people will give you the attention you need. I have a 10-hour private that may fit your criteria that I would like to present to you. All right, cool. DM me, send me a message. We can have that talk. Definitely. Let's have that talk. Do you know any as far as, yeah, most hard money, most of them, well, their limit is 75K, right? So if you want to go lower than 75K, you're going to have to look into borrowing from a bank, right? So what you would do now is, if you don't have credit, all the process I spoke about. But what you can also do is learn how to become creative with doing deals, right? Say if you have a deal for 70,000, you might, this is a great property here for 70,000, but hard money only does 75. So what you would do now, you would talk to the seller about them paying closing costs, right? Because if the closing costs and all expenses are about $5,000, now you say, I'm going to buy the property that was 70,000 for 75,000. So now the 75,000 makes it possible for you to buy the property, but you're not giving the 75,000 to the seller. They're paying closing costs. All right. So you're throwing, now they're paying the closing costs. The closing costs is going to come out of that purchase. So you're able to take the $70,000 property, get the 75,000 limit that you're looking for, and close on that property, because they're going to take the burden of the closing costs, which is the $5,000 that they're putting in their pocket, is coming back out of their pocket to pay the closing. You get it? So try to find ways to maneuver where it's like, how do I get this property up to the 75,000 limit? Be creative. I've done that with several properties. It was only 68. It was only 72. Cool. I'll buy it for 75, but I need you to pay these costs. So you're going to get that extra money because you only wanted 72, but you're going to get an extra 3,000. Take the 3,000, write a check back, and pay for these things. That's how you get it done. All right. Bro, what you think about Atlantic City? Oh no, Atlantic City. A lot of people are swooping in on Atlantic City to definitely do some rentals there. You know what I mean? So I would definitely look into it. And one of my things with Atlantic City, it's going to be some years, but all those hotels are eventually going to become condos for the people who don't want to go all the way out to Jersey Shore anymore. So I would definitely, for those of you that are investors and think long term, like we think ahead, if there's ever a scenario where once you start seeing these hotels and they start saying, we're selling condos for 10,000, 20,000 at the Harrah, things like that, buy it. Buy it, buy it, buy it. Because that's going to become that new shore instead of driving all the way to Jersey Shore. All right? Definitely. So let me see. Did I miss any questions here? Let's see. Streetlight Boutique, what's going on, my people? All right, so I spoke about the septic tank question and insurance of the fire and paying off your properties, which, remember, like I said, you never want to take extra money that you could be doing something with to pay off properties that you could be buying more properties. So now, how do you market new areas to want to invest in Canvas? So also in the course, I tell you thing that I had to learn on my own. It's called bestplaces.net. Bestplaces.net taught me how to survey an area. Best Places, can I house hack without a FHA? Yeah, you can house hack. A house hack is when you are renting parts of your house. You have 2 or 3 bedrooms, you're renting part of the house, or you have a duplex. Well, if you're renting some rooms out in your house, the rent coming in is paying your mortgage. Or if you have a 2 family, two-family unit. The other unit is paying your mortgage. Anything that's paying for you to live free is a house hack. Is a house hack. So back to bestplaces.net. Bestplaces.net. I use that to survey some of the areas I wanted to buy in. For example, remember bestplaces.net. When I first wanted to get into Alabama, I had to learn about the construction going on, the crime rate for certain areas, what kind of crimes were being committed. Just because places have high crime rates, those crimes may not be harsh crimes. So if you hear a place that has 70% high crimes, yeah, but if those crimes are pickpockets, auto thefts, see, that's different from 70% crimes that are armed robberies, break-ins, murders. Big difference. So you need to gauge what kind of crimes dictate the area. So that was one thing I had to learn. I wanted to find out what jobs, politics also. Bestplaces.net also gives you the political landscape, how many Republicans, Democrat, what people were voting, at what time and what years. All right. Also, what it did was give you a breakdown on how much money comes into the state that they spend on each child in each school system. It also breaks down how many children were in each school. These are the things you need to know when investing out of state, like out of state. These are the things that I had to cover and learn, which I put all this into this place and said, you know what? I don't want you guys to, really get that hard work in like that, because I want you to get on your feet and start running. You know what I mean? So that was one outlet. There's other places where, for example, you can find out the rent, the Rentometer. This is another system where you have to learn about how much rent is being paid in these areas and how the rent was increasing based on the mortgage. So you want to know your profits. You want to know the things like the 1% rule. The 1% rule, you want it, for example, the 1% rule, if you're buying a property for $100,000, the rent should be no less than $1,000 to start making a profit. That's the 1% rule. We know the 5-year rule for me. I don't keep a property more than 5 years. There's certain things that, we go through, I went through just to make sure that I can put this in a place so you guys can start running. Because here's the schematics of it for me, what I've learned. The more you want to get into something, the more you start paying attention to it, the more you start hearing people tell you the reasons why you shouldn't do it. Think about that. The more that you want to get into out-of-state real estate investing, the more you're going to start hearing people say why you shouldn't get into it. But when it's just a hobby, like when you're just looking into, it's curious, it's a curiosity. That it wasn't bothering you that much. But once you really start honing in and going, you know what, this is what I want to do, you start following people talking about it. That's another thing also. Follow people pertinent to what you want to do. Once you start following people and talking about it, then you start hearing the flashes, these the sirens go off about what you shouldn't do. Take the warnings, but with the warnings, accept the facts of how you're going to prepare for the warning signs. Like if I give you guys warnings about something, I want to tell you how to prepare and fix that. I just don't want to tell you, be careful, property management companies, they'll take your money. Boop, click out. I'm not doing that. That's how it shouldn't be done. I'm going to tell you, be worried about property management companies, but this is how you do to protect yourself. If you don't get rent, here's coverage. Don't be worried about not getting rent because there's a coverage for out-of-state investors with property management company, with insurance companies, where you can be covered up to a certain portion of your rent. There's a solution to the problem. You know what I mean? Ask questions to people who put out the fear factor of what you shouldn't do, and tell them, well, ask them, how do I get around that? Don't tune out. DJ, how long does the average deal takes to go? Well, the average deal to close, depending on hard money or depending on a bank. With a bank, it could take you anywhere to close on a bank deal. It could take you 30 days to 60 days to really close. It depends on how well you have things structured with the deal. And how to avoid that, have your pre-approval together, have your insurance together, have everything in place to try to make the deal go smoothly. The title company. But if you're doing a deal with hard money, you can, if you pre-approved, which I spoke about earlier, getting pre-approved, you can close in these hard money deals within 15, 20 days. And don't let the term hard money scare you. The only person who should be afraid is the person giving you money. Because if you get hard money loans are given to you because they're asset-based and they're given to you in your LLC, right? So if someone gives you $200,000 in your LLC and things don't work out, guess what you do? Shut that LLC down, go get another one, go get another loan and learn from your mistake. You can't do that with a bank. You get a mortgage, you mess up, then cool. Your mortgage, your credit is done. The bank, it's like you're shot now. You see what I'm saying? So don't be fearful of hearing those terms of the hard money. Don't be fearful of none of those things. You know, what do I think about HELOC? HELOCs are great. You borrow money from yourself to get yourself into the investment game. You know, home equity lines of credit. But remember, when you take a HELOC out, you're going to have to pay back whatever it is you borrow. So you must equate the money to pay back with the money to make a profit. For example, if you take a HELOC out and you have to pay $100 back every month to your HELOC, you want to make sure the profit coming in is enough to pay you $100 and for you to make a profit. Very simple with that process. You know what I mean? So, man, all right, what's going on with you guys? Signing up? Cool, sign up. Get that course 80% off. I want you guys to really get this knowledge and get into this game. I'm going to stay on it. I'm going to stay on you guys all the time with this because my goal is for you to get this knowledge and to get into this game of out-of-state real estate investing. There's no reason for anyone, for anybody else to be getting into real estate and you to sit on the sidelines thinking you can't do it. Like that's the part that gets me. No need to sit on the sideline. I think I'm giving enough information for you guys to definitely look into it and get into the game. When a minimally LLC, hard money loan to purchase the home, profits of the sale, 5 years calls and a minute LLC to file taxes. No. This is what we're doing. When you see, well, okay, this is what you're doing. When you buy the property, it depends on how you purchase the property. So you have the property. If you purchase that property and the LLC now is going to sell the property. The anonymity property, the anonymity LLC that owns your LLC, when you sell it, it's not going to have to. The LLC that's dealing with the taxes is the LLC that the property is in. He's dealing with the taxes, not the other one. You're dealing with paying the taxes, all right? The property that the LLC is in is going to have to pay the taxes. The loan, you know what, let me back up and give you a better example. Let me give you a better example. So you have a property in Georgia. So you open up your LLC in Georgia. Your LLC in Georgia is going to get a hard money loan. Your hard money loan has to be in the state that you want to buy the property. If you have a Wyoming LLC, remember that's anonymity and all the other things. Hard money lenders, a lot of them are not going to lend to that LLC because it's hidden. You're owned by anonymity. Is just the loan is going to be on that one. And remember, when you're doing that, is a thing where I get into and I teach you guys called acquisition companies, right? What you want to do is start creating an acquisition company to buy your properties in, because you don't want to keep buying properties in different LLCs because you're not building up that credibility to get that big loan from hard monies. Like if you have one acquisition company that's buying properties, like I have an acquisition company that take care of all my loans, right? So, but when I purchase them, that's when I do a quick deed into another LLC. This one now, he wants to go get another hard money loan and they want to look at my history. They go, okay, He's purchased 10, 15, 20 properties. He have this many loans already. Now, so the loan amount I get is a bigger amount. So my loan amount goes from 100, 200, 300, 405 to $4 million because I've done a lot of acquisitions in that particular LLC. That's how you build it up. So that's the route you want to eventually go. All right. So the anonymity state doesn't get taxes because you're not going to be doing a loan in that one. You're just going to be doing a loan for the state that the LLC is. I hope I answered that question for you, my friend. Let me see. Did we do good? Let me see. If you shut down LLC, do you also close the business bank account? If you shut down the LLC, you're not going to have a business bank account for the LLC that the property is in. Remember, you have a property in Georgia. The LLC is in Georgia. You don't have a bank account in it for that LLC. You don't want money going into the LLC. Your property management company, separate from you, is collecting rent from the Georgia property. All right? So you're not going to have one in there. Let me see. All right, so now, what I'm going to get into property management. I had that discussion with some mistakes. Let me go back on some of the mistakes so you guys don't do some of the mistakes that I've done. Some of the mistakes that I've done, which was doing unnecessary repairs. When I first got into buying properties and tenant occupied, what I would do is make unnecessary repairs with things because we would look at it as I'm going into this property and, the roof is fine, furnace is fine, things of that nature. But I would come into the property and go, well, you know what? I'm going to take this cabinets out and put a newer cabinet in because the cabinet doors are a little janky. They have carpet in this area, so I want to put some vinyl floor because no, don't do any of that. What you don't want to do is start acting like you're the tenant. You know what I mean? One thing I do is when I send my property manager in to look at a property that I'm about to buy, I have them ask one key question. I have them ask one key important question to my tenants, my new tenants. He asked them, if there's one thing that you could have done immediately in this apartment, what would that be? That's the question. And if their answer isn't one of those things that you might see a problem for you, leave it alone. You see what I mean? And the reason why that question is so important, because it shows the tenant that you're coming in with their best interest in mind. You're not going to be a slumlord, and you want to work with them. And you're preparing them also in case you want to raise the rent. It's just that simple. Because you're coming into the scenario and their mind is now going, oh, wow, okay, I had this faucet that always leaked, or I had this situation here, or I had this. Once you fix that for them, you're good. You're good. You're starting off on a clean slate. So prepare yourself for these scenarios and try to figure out how to make things accommodating for the new tenant. Because remember, you want to have this property for at least 3, 4, 5 years. You would like to try to keep the same tenant, the money coming in. You want to start getting those little bump ups in rent, because even with Section 8, you can do bump ups in rent. And for those where I'm running into this problem now where I'm not finding as many Section 8s as I did before. So what am I doing now? I'm going after long-term tenants. Because when you go after long-term tenants, COVID has been going on for over a year. So if you have a tenant that's been in there for 2 years, and when you request the rent rolls show when the tenant's been paying their rent. So if the rent roll shows they've been paying rent every month on time, they have a state, government, or federal job, right? So now you want to keep them in there. So if you're coming in with your best foot forward, you're going to have that tenant there for another couple years. You don't have to worry about your money, your cash flow, or having a turnover. Turnover is when somebody moves out. Now you got to go in there and fix up all these little things that the other tenant was okay with. You don't want turnover. You don't want that turnaround time at all. You know what I mean? So I work with a property management company I have a whole thing in the course where I think it's 20 questions to ask your property management company, things to ask the tenant when you do acquire new property. All the things I'm talking about now, just how to address it. I did that section with all those things. All my little tips are in there. Can you get the most? Can you pause? You gave most of the examples, but I caught the tail end. I think I get it. Oh, okay. Growth and power. Well, hopefully Instagram right now is recording this, but whatever the question was, just shoot me a message and I'll definitely give you some insight on that, on the question we missed. All right. Those of you, I'm gonna let you get back to your Valentine's. Remember, get the course 80% off now. Use the code VDayLive. I think I've been an hour. For those of you, I've been tuned into it since the beginning. The very, very beginning. Let me see. I'm gonna do a giveaway. I want to give 2 courses away here. How am I gonna do that? I'm gonna do that. Let me see. Okay. Go to, I have a YouTube page. My YouTube is Storm Management Investment. Go there, sign up for the YouTube, leave a message on one of the videos and mention the code VDayLive. I'm going to be giving out free courses. Storm Management Investment. Go there. I'm going to give out 2 free courses. Everybody else use the VDayLive. For those of you that did stick around, that's going to go to the YouTube. Sign up. I'm going to be scrolling through it. I'm going to be checking. I'm going to give 2 away from free, 2 courses away free. After that is 90% for everybody else that's in the YouTube. So enjoy your Valentine's Day night festivities. For those of you that see my post with the champagne pop, enjoy yourself. Greatly appreciate everybody tuning in next Sunday. I'm doing another live with another network. You guys are going to see the information, so I'm just going to tune out here. Have a good one before I pick up on another topic I want to talk about. Now I'm going to sign out. Always my sign out. ASK. Always seek knowledge. Peace.